Goal line! Oh, fast line! Deep fast line! And a small line! A small line! And a sail line! And a sail line! And a sail line! Tick, tick! We're on 3, 1, 2, 3!
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another Coach to Coach. I am Dylan Mack, the head coach of Elmwood Park High School just outside Chicago, Illinois. As always, I'm joined with
Anthony Gonzalez. I'm the head coach at Everett Alvarez High School. I'm so excited. I can't even talk. In Salinas, California. Week 8 of Coach to Coach, right?
Right. Week 8. This is going to be our last week. We got a bunch of questions coming in from all over the place. Last week we had a diagram, so naturally we got more diagram questions.
Does that mean we got to show screens? I mean, yeah, I guess we could, right?
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But excited. A couple questions I'm pretty excited about. I think we get more people from my central Illinois area, like the Midwest.
I notice there's a lot of like air raidy type questions every now and then too.
Right. Well, that's because that's what people want to know about.
But why?
Well, because unlike
they do this,
been around for 100.
That's all you do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
that's it, guys. Come on.
It's that simple.
How many questions are there needed about?
Right. Take the ball and throw it at somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Ooh, did you put the defense first today?
I did.
You beast. All right. This is what I'm talking about.
Right. I, figured I'd throw you a bone.
Well, I appreciate it. Okay. This question is from Christopher Speed out in Texas. And he says, what's your alignment? 4-2-5, run heavy offense, single wing, looking for ideas. There is a diagram. Do we show this? Like, do you want to pop the one up?
I don't. Sure.
All right. So I'm looking at the diagram, and when I think single wing, I actually think of the whole single wing type offense where there's a direct snap to 2 running backs in the backfield, and there's not really an assigned quarterback. But what I think I'm looking at is a like a wing T formation. What do you think?
Yeah, and I can't actually share it, so you're going to have to splice that in.
Oh, god dang. Okay.
That's what I did last week. I just spliced it in, so they didn't have to look at us.
Oh, okay.
That's how I got real fancy last week.
Okay. All right.
So all you guys that didn't hear any audio for the first 3 days that the show is up, my fault, I guess. The intro had sorry guys, this is a horrible tangent, but the intro had audio, and that's really all I listened to. Make sure that it played, but then we didn't have audio.
Weird. Didn't know that.
It was all on the same line, so I don't know what the deal was, but whatever. It got fixed. It's up. So hopefully you guys go back and watch it.
Okay. Well, like I was saying, this was like more of a wing T type of formation, not technically a single wing.
Right.
Just because of, I know like the single wing purist guys that run this stuff, they're going to look at this and like, this isn't what we do because, that quarterback isn't behind the center like that. And it's a direct snap. And honestly, this is a formation that we teach in our offense. Our tailback is on the right side is more over the tackle more than anything, but close enough, right?
Right.
Run heavy offense, single, looking for ideas. We're just looking at alignment. Okay. And if you're in a 4-2-5, what really messes with us is when there's a guy shaded or slanting to the strong A gap. That usually messes with us a whole lot, just because we run a lot of buck sweep and down or belly G, whatever the hell you want to call it. And that pulling guard vacates the A gap, and the center has to kind of scoop that guy slanting to the A, which is already hard. So what he could do is put him in a weak 1 or a strong 1, and then mess with it that way. Because if he's in a strong 3, then that's our cube. We're blocking like normal, because now you have a 3 and a 1 to the strong side, and our center is just going to block back on the weak 1, and our tackle is going to block down on the strong 3, or we're running trap and kicking out the 3. So I would go like a 5-1-3-5, and then just have your linebackers stacked where they normally are. Another thing that kind of messes with us a lot is the wing bashing concept, where, you know, you have like a really strong, sturdy outside linebacker type kid, like line up right over the wing. And his job is to just bash the wing and make that wing's life a living hell. I mean, think about it this way, like a wing T offense or this kind of offense, the wing is probably not very big for us. Our wing backs are like maybe 150, 160, right, where you have an outside linebacker, what, hopefully yours is like 6 foot, 200 pounds. Mine's 6 foot, but he's like 160. He's like a stick.
Yeah,
but it's cool.
Mine's not, but yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. That's the hope. I mean, I think down in Texas, that's probably Coach Speed. You're probably dealing with outside linebackers more stereotypical.
Yeah,
sure. Right.
I don't know. What do you got, Mac? You got anything?
I don't know. How do you guys deal with if teams go even on you, go 2-2s?
Oh, that's fine with us.
Really?
Yeah, like evens are fine. I prefer a 3 and a 2, or a 3 or a 2 compared to someone in the 1 on our strong side. Yeah, I don't know. It just messes with our center's head because he knows he's got a long way to go. You know, even if he's head up, I know our center tends to get a little nervous because he's like, okay, but what if he slants to my strong side? And we're running sweep, and he knows he's got to like scoop that. So our center, he got better at it because last year he was a sophomore.
Right.
And this year he's bigger, he's stronger. He might be fatter because of COVID, but you know, he's probably more confident in what the hell we're gonna do. But yeah, like that, the 2s I don't mind at all.
Okay.
Slanting might be a little bit more complicated, but usually our offensive line coach was really good at noticing if they were slanting out, slanting in, or pinching, or one direction. So we would, you know, coach them through that and how we were going to handle it. But our rules took care of most of it. There was only like a few special situations that the kids had to memorize or do. I think a 2 on our weak side when we run belly, that was messing with us a little bit because when we run belly, we basically have 3 different calls depending on how you're lined up. So our guys are either going to block it on, they're going to cross, or they're going to block it out. And if you have a 2, we technically don't know which way to go. Like, you know, if he's slanting to the weak side, we should be blocking it out just to keep carrying him out. But we might call a cross because that's within our rule to cross. And then it kind of messes with the tackle because he doesn't expect that guy to be up in his face crossing to his side. Dude, it gets a little hairy sometimes, but I think 2s are okay. The one technique on the strong side, though, that's what, like I said, gives us the most issues.
And even if they went double 1s,
yeah,
you just go belly all day.
We would probably run belly to the weak side or run power a lot more.
Okay. Right, because you're getting.
Yeah, we're eliminating that strong side guard pulling.
Yeah.
Really good D coordinators would know that. Like if they went double 1s, it kind of eliminates our buck sweep a little bit. So now they got to get ready for power because that's what we ran the most of this past year was belly buck sweep, and then we counted it with power just to eliminate a pulling guard. So like if they were really paying attention to what we were doing, if teams took away buck sweep, it was probably because some linebacker read or something else was going on, and we just run power, and that was more effective, and we were okay with that. But yeah, if they were in double 1s, we'd be running power.
All right. We got Coach Bluebird from Illinois up by me. What coverage would work well against all verts out of 3x1?
Do you want to take that one first?
Yeah, quite honestly, pretty much all of them. I would say it depends on the athleticism of your kids. Like I would say that's probably your number one concern is like how athletic are your kids and how good are they getting in a zone or playing man. Like if they're really good at playing man, then you can run cover 1 or 0 and you could be fine. If they're not that great at man, then you probably want to drop back and play a 4 or a 3. Truthfully, out of 3x1, I still like cover 3. I think a spot drop 3.
Really?
You can still cover, yeah, you can still cover.
Why? Okay, now you have to explain.
Because that backside corner is worried about that deep threat, which he's only has one guy. So there's only one guy in his zone. So he really only has to worry about one guy. Then you have 2 guys taking off the top with that safety and the place at the trip side corner. And you get some help out of your Sam linebacker. And now if you get a quarterback that's going to really if they're holding on to the ball for 10 seconds where they can wait and wait and wait, someone's going to pop open. There's nothing they're going to do. I mean, if you looked at if anybody watched the Mississippi State game from yesterday, they got on the quarterback pretty much right away. Their O-line was pretty not good. There's not much passing anybody's going to be able to do in general. But you're not playing to assume they're going to have 8 seconds to hold on to the ball and find the read. You're playing for 3 seconds. So in 3 seconds, can my safety, who's probably one of my best, if not my best defensive back, cover 2 guys within about a 10 to 20 yard space? And I'm more times than not, I can say yes to that. All right, because he's going to make a play on the ball.
I don't want to say yes to that though. Like that's like a coin flip, and
see, but to me,
I think also it depends on how you teach your outside linebacker, the Sam, to help.
Yeah,
I mean, because we did run a lot of cover. We used to run a lot of cover 3, and we basically kind of ran it with a Rip Liz kind of mentality. And I didn't even know it that's what people called it.
Right.
That was just something that I noticed because we would get beat on, all verts. So even in 2x2, that's when the all verts would be super deadly in a 3x3. A cover 3. But I started coaching our outside linebackers to read what the number 2 guy was doing, and if he went vertical, then he had to run with it.
Yep.
And that's what helped in a cover 3. So if you're teaching him like that, I think I would be okay with it. But if it's spot drop, I'm like there's 2 spots in between the safety and before the safety, and the safety's got to choose. Our quarterback can hit that. Even my quarterback can hit that, and he doesn't even throw the ball. He just turns it and hands it. I mean, I don't know, dude. Cover 1, I like too if you have good athletes. I know the what is it called? The flavor of the month or the flavor of the last year.
Right.
Said it already a bunch of times. It's that stubby stump special kind of look.
Yeah.
Where you're playing 2 read with 2 and 3, and you're manned up with number 1. And then there's the second most flavor of the week is the solo or poach technique, where the backside safety's helping out on the vert, and then the strong side safety, the outside linebacker, and the corner to the trip side, they're basically playing like a cover 4 type of deal.
Right. So that's all out of 2 high safety.
Yeah, this is all 2.
It also depends on what you're running there, Coach Bluebird. If you're running a 1 high safety look, then you might be having to drop one of your more athletic linebackers back to safety, or bringing in somebody.
Definitely true. I was just looking while you were talking too. If you ever pay attention to Coach Vass's podcast with Make Defense Great Again, they just dropped yesterday. I haven't finished it all, but he was talking with the D coordinator at St. John Bosco.
Okay.
Those guys can play down there for sure. Right. I think the D coordinator's name is Chris King. I'm pretty sure if I'm remembering that right, but they go over a bunch of different coverages, including the stuff like stubby stump and I think switch, which is becoming more popular too. So check that out, because they get really deep into all that stuff. And if you really want to nerd out and listen to a podcast, you might need to have a paper and pencil, because if you're a visual, podcasts don't do justice.
No.
Yeah, but when you start listening to it, you kind of have to get used to the lingo that they're using, and they're like, okay, how does this relate to what I got? And they have some really good stuff. So if you can check that out, that's one of the go-to podcasts for me. I'm not gonna lie, I love the format and how he does it. Next question.
Yeah, let's go.
Best way to stop the wedge block QB sneak. That's Tommy Watt out of Wisconsin. You better have some big beefy boys. I mean, the way you block it, right? Like foot to foot, and then
yeah.
what would you tell your
I
kids
mean,
to do?
so the way we block up our wedge is we're going to cut down our splits, and we're going to try and almost like Mighty Ducks flying V style.
Sure. Yeah.
We teach them, get your shoulder pad and your hand to the inside shoulder back number of your your lineman next to you.
Okay. And then not the lineman outside, the lineman inside of you too, right?
Right.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. How would you defend that? That's kind of hard. Like, honestly, if
I
you knew it was coming, I would cut the hell out of it and send someone flying over the top.
Right. That's really all you could do is you just got to take the legs out and hope that you can cut the center down.
Yeah.
And
One thing I do remember, one of my high school coaches, we had a team that did do this. And I remember him saying that we put two quick guys actually in the A gaps.
Yep.
Their job was to, on the snap of the ball, dive and try to capture the quarterback's ankles.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it worked. And so maybe try that. I don't know. That just popped in my head for some random ass reason.
Huh.
But yeah, so when they dove and grabbed at the QB's ankles, he wasn't able to like come forward or jump because one of the guys did actually successfully grab an ankle. And yeah, I don't know. Like, but yeah, my short answer would be to cut it and then look for someone flying over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I pull up a clip of Tom Brady doing it because he's one of the best at kind of getting his body in a nice, almost sprinter's position when he gets under center with his feet and with just his overall body position. And I mean, he's really kind of giving it to his center as far as getting in there.
Getting up in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that center is going forward no matter what. But if you cut him down, the one downside is the quarterback's also looking for, depending on teams that how they do it. Like the way we teach it is you're going to ride that center until he stops. And when he stops, you're looking for an opening left or right.
Sure.
And we've had a couple times where it popped for, 50, 60 yard gain. And I mean, we last year averaged, I think, like 7 yards a carry on this play.
What the? We just didn't expect you guys to do that because you guys are all spread out the whole time, or what?
We've done it for the last 4 years. I mean, we average, I would say over my 4 years, we average 5 yards a carry on this play.
All right. Why don't you just do this play then?
I don't know. I thought about it.
Oh, okay.
Like we ran it 3 times in a row and we picked up, I think, 2 first downs.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, this is boring.
I want the ball out here. This sucks. All right, dude. Next one.
So dealing with my high school D-line, not being aggressive on the line, not firing off the ball and not forcing contact instead of receiving it. What would you guys recommend? Thanks in advance. Eric Shaw from Illinois.
Find new D linemen.
Yeah. Or ask them to do something different.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends too. Like if you're asking them to be aggressive and then like engage the linemen, and then their job is to eat up blockers to have the linebackers make play, and they're not doing that. Then you're not asking them to do that anymore. Like sign them, stun them.
Yep.
Give them something else to do. Just because like if they can't do what you're asking them, or you're telling them to do something and they're not doing it, maybe they think they're not good at it. What do you got, dude?
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. Like, it feels to me like a confidence issue just from the question, and that they're thinking. Like, I feel like, especially the not firing off the ball, is they're thinking too much, which thinking is going to slow you down so much and pretty much kill any aggressiveness you're going to have. So maybe you're teaching them that two-way read where you got lockout and look side to side. Like, dude, they're high school D linemen. Chances are don't know exactly your situation, Coach Shaw, but there's not a ton of dudes even in D1 programs that are great at locking out, looking side to side, and reading what's going to happen. So give them a landmark. Give them one thing that they have to do. We do spill and splatter, I think it's called. So our DNs, it took them a while. Last year we put it in because they were just slow, and the first 2 games they wanted to do so much more because they felt like they had to. But after they bought into, oh no, I just have to go down and attack this one dude, and if I do and he doesn't have the ball, it doesn't matter. Cool, because that's my job. Yeah, like they played balls to the wall all the time, and like my strong side D end was I think he had almost the second most sacks in school history. So he's looking to break that record this year. Hopefully we get our season in, but and he's only played varsity 1 year. So like, and he's not stud by any means. What?
Did he play football when he was younger?
Yeah, I mean he's not a stud. He's not real big. He's not overly fast. Like he just bought in and he's like, okay, if I only have to do one thing, like I read my key, like I read my block, because we made it simple. You either get down or you get reach, and you pretty much make your decision off of that. And after that, you go.
Sure.
And he bought into it, and he bought into it real quick, and he made some really nice plays that we were like, holy crap, man. Like,
we might have a player.
You're right. Like, dude, we found a guy.
Yeah.
Like, we were concerned. We were like on D line. We were like, shit, man. We might go to that amoeba where we just put one dude with the hand on the ground and just have a bunch of dudes run around, because we didn't have 3 guys that we felt pretty confident about, let alone 4 or 5 that we could rotate through. So, but yeah, I would say simplify what you're doing and not let them think about it as much. That would be my big thing.
I was also thinking, too, that maybe you can kind of coach the smaller things in like individual time and slow it down more, because we're talking about this confidence thing, right? And then so when you're more confident, you're more aggressive. At least that's how I played, and I've seen players play. But break down things into smaller parts for them in individual time, and that way they can kind of work on just what Coach Mack was talking about, with like just a read or whatever. There was a drill that we started doing last year, and then I actually saw it. I'm gonna bring up Bass's stuff again, but on his huddle, he has a bunch of cut-ups and clips of LSU doing D-line drills. And there was probably that really good one that was on like Twitter, and I've seen it circulate through Facebook now too, when the D-linemen, like they pop and engage and they extend, but then if the ball crosses their face, now they have to get underneath and get to a spot where they're making the play. Or if the ball, stays on their side gap, now they have to disengage and make the tackle. Like, give them stuff to help their confidence and, build what you want them to do. And eventually they'll get a little bit more aggressive with what they're doing. Is it my turn?
Yeah, I think that was you.
All right. So for you guys who are in a pure 4-2-5, how do you divide up your position coaches? How many coaches minimum do you feel you need to have on D to get every position coached up? And that's Coach Johnston is that Virginia?
Yep.
Virginia. All right. Do you want to go first?
Well, you don't run a 4-2-5, but I mean, even a 3-3 or 3-5, whatever goofy defense you run.
Oh, 3-4? Super goofy.
Oh, yeah. 3-4. That's right.
Super goofy.
Super goofy.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's a defense. I mean, you probably need 2 coaches?
What? God, you're such a...
I'd say you need a D-line coach, you need a inside linebacker coach, outside linebacker coach, or for 4-2-5, your overhangs, safeties, whatever you want to call them, and a DB coach. I would say that you could probably get away with 4. If you had the luxury of a 5th coach, that could be a true safeties coach, and then you could coach your overhang or outside linebacker separately. That would be probably the most ideal. Just because they do slightly different things, but I mean, depending on the size of your program, you might have those dudes that are going to be rotating depending on injuries, so I don't know that you necessarily need more than 4, but 4 or 5, I'd say, is probably what you're looking at. Anything more than that, you're doubling up on positions. Like you could do D tackle, D ends, because they're slightly different. But I don't know. How about you? What would you be thinking?
If I was running a 4-2-5,
Right.
our 4-4 a few years ago turned into a 4-2-5 basically. But if we were running that, I would want DN coach. I would want interior guys, so the 1 and the 3 techs, the linebacker coach. So, and then the overhangs, like you were talking about, a corners and a safety coach. 6.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's 6. 4 plus 2. I'm a math teacher, by the way. I would want 6. Ideally, I would want 6. We got away with having only 3. And I didn't like that as much. And honestly, that's just because of the availability of coaches.
Right.
I mean, you know, we were talking about this before the show. It's super hard to find guys that their schedules match and they have the knowledge to actually coach. Like they're either those guys that, you know, played when they were younger in high school and college, but they don't realize what goes into coaching, or the, you know, the sideline coaches, the bleacher coaches that you get that think they know everything. The guys that actually, you know, want to learn the game and want to learn how to coach a specific position. Those are the ones like, you know, you're kind of looking for, but you don't get those very often.
Right.
So like I said, ideally for me it would be 6. And I think even in the 3-5 or 3-4, you got me thinking 3-5 now, 3-4, I would want a D-line coach because all of our linemen are pretty interchangeable.
Right.
Inside and outside linebackers and safeties and corners. So that would be 5. And this year, like I said, we were talking before the show, I lost coaches for COVID. I'm down to 3 defensive coaches on varsity. And that's including myself this year. And my plan was to get myself out so I could like oversee more and, you know, just kind of make sure guys were doing what I wanted them to do and what I needed them to do. But didn't happen this year. And damn, virus is messing with everything.
Yeah. No, and that's the tough part is like, because every position actually does something slightly different that to really get into those nuances. And I mean, yes, there's some general stuff where like, yes, they have to tackle, they have to feed blocks, but your interior linemen are going to do things slightly different than your DNs. Your DNs need to come screaming off the edge sometimes, but then also need to know when do they settle and to get that yard upfield, right? And your overhangs or outside linebackers, basically the same thing. I mean, if we're talking 4-2-5, we're talking 4-4. They do something drastically different than the inside linebackers. So like to say, hey, we're going to send you with a linebacker coach, that's tough because you're asking one guy to try and coach up 2 very different positions.
Sure. Yeah. Especially when we just talked about having your kids think too hard. Well, don't have your coaches think too hard either.
Right.
Sometimes you're just hiring a guy. I'm just kidding. Hopefully you're not. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, your coach think too much there.
And Coach Speed Coach Johnson, that also might be where the number of coaches depends on what scheme you're going to run. Because if I have 6 coaches, like Coach was just saying, then maybe I can get into a more complex scheme. But if I only have 3, well, maybe I'm just going with, you know, maybe 2 coverages. We're doing a handful of blitzes and a couple slants, you know, just because we're not going to have the manpower to really dive into everything.
Honestly, that's exactly what we're going to do. A couple coverages, a few blitzes, and a couple stunts, and coach the hell out of those because I'm down coaches.
And you're not going to be able to see it. Like you're not going to be able to see everybody doing everything to the point where you're going to get it polished by 2 and 3.
Yep. All right, dude. Next one.
Yep. So defensive coaches, how do you prefer your D-line to play against the run? And that's Ronald Tony from Arkansas.
So with my guys, I want them to eat up blocks and eat up as many blocks as they can because our 3D linemen or our 2 ends are playing in 4 eyes. So I want them to eat up 2 blocks, and then I don't want them to get more than a yard upfield because I want them to, engage and find the ball. And I told them if they make their TFL is coming at like 1 to 1.5 yards deep inside the or on the other side of the line of scrimmage. What about you?
Pretty much the same. I mean,
Yeah.
like over the 8 weeks, I don't think we've disagreed on much.
I know, except for like mesh. Even then, we kind of agree on mesh. Like
right.
I kind of like mesh too.
Right. Well, and the more I've kind of talked myself through it, the more I don't know that we're going to be heavy into mesh this year, just with how things are happening.
Oh God, here we go.
I know, right?
The mesh guy isn't even doing mesh this year. Whoa, Kobe really messed it up.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't want him to get that deep, yard and a half. I mean, we do a drill with our whole defense or our pursuit drill, but we work our D line only getting a yard deep, and then pretty much like a fence line, they have to stop, pop their feet. We've actually done it where the fence line is only a yard deep for when we had a couple D linemen that were screaming upfield and getting 10 yards up.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no sense in getting more than a yard and a half because everything's going by you then.
Yeah. Like I'm not huge on getting like big penetration. And I know that like we've answered a few questions, and when I watch the Pop Warner teams play, or I see tape and like they're like, get in there, get penetration. Like the coaches are telling them that, and like, all right, in high school now we have to uncoach it.
Right.
It's like, dude, I don't want you 5 yards in there. I don't.
Right.
Like if it's a pass play, cool, but not on a run. Like I don't want it there at all.
Right. Defeat the block and find the ball.
Yeah.
And you can't find the ball when you're 5 yards past it.
And then on top of that, you're creating a vertical seam now instead. And honestly, like some teams actually want that. They want to have that vertical seam because they have a running back that can find it and then just go doot, doot. It's like, all right, well, we're dead now. I do also teach our D line to spill it. I mean, what'd you say, spill and splatter? We call it spill and kill. So we're basically taking everything on as a D lineman with our outside shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
If we know we're about to get trap blocked, so like we'll follow the thing down, and if you know you're following it down, you better get ready to hit it with your outside shoulder because I want you to spill the trap and send it to the better athlete, which is our outside linebacker or our inside linebacker.
Right.
And that actually, they take to that really well because sometimes they've made a tackle, spilling it, and they're like, I got it. I was like, yep, yeah, you did. And there's some really great clips of Aaron Donald doing that. And that's definitely made it to the highlight reel of what I want them to look like. And like I showed that to our D lineman. He calls himself Nick Bosa. He's not Nick Bosa, but I mean, let him dream, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I showed him that. He's like, oh, that's what you were talking about? I'm like, yes, this is exactly it. He's like, I think I can do that. I'm like, oh, you better. Oh, shit, you're about to sit the bench. You know.
I don't think Nick Bosa's been benched, but
yeah.
Going to be.
Jesus. All right, let's go. One more D question.
Right, and then we get to good stuff.
Oh, fantastic. When playing a 3-down front, do you prefer 5 techs or 4 eyes at the defensive end? Same coach, Ronard Tony. Ronard Tony from Arkansas. Do you want to go first?
I haven't played a 3-down front in a while, and I was actually thinking about this. If we get because I'm thinking we moved to our upper division in our conference, and there's more teams that play with an out front in the upper division than where we were, and I'm thinking they're going to come with more 4 eyes. I'm guessing
they probably will, especially against you. That's where I would. Yeah.
Right, which is fine. I mean, cool. But yeah, I would say, like, truthfully, I don't know how I'd feel. Like defensively, if I was to take over a team and be a D coordinator,
nobody want that.
Right. Like, guys, let's drop into coverage. We're going to drop 9.
Drop 9.
Coach, it's a wing T team. Yeah. We'll be good.
We're fine.
I would say the 4 eyes, but I mean, it kind of goes up with one of the questions. It really depends on the ability of my ends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't really give you a great answer because if my ends aren't dudes, like in the way that I'm thinking of what they would need to be. I mean, if they're not great athletes, because for us right now, we take 2 of our better athletes and we stick them at the end. Like, and that's kind of how we've been selling our defensive end position. Is like, yeah, you're not a fat lineman. Like our D line, there's maybe one kind of fat kid, but that fat kid can fly. Like he's a fast fat kid. Like he doesn't have to be fast for 100 yards. He has to be fast for 5 yards.
Then hand him the ball.
Oh, I would.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
I'm gonna send that clip to whatever kid this is, and the coach said he's gonna hand you the ball.
I'll happily hand him the ball.
Okay.
He's been in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
My D linemen get in the backfield. So that last week when we talked about that heavy package where I'd rotate a fullback in,
Sure.
Those are all D linemen that I flip in.
Okay.
So they get all giddy, but they have to be athletes. Like we don't put on our defense. I don't want any bums and fat kids and slow kids.
Sure.
Like I figure kill them with speed. So I guess that would be where I'd kind of go with it. I like the 5 because I would crash a lot more and just kind of the angle. I think the 4 eye, it gives a little bit more to that outside zone block. It's an easier reach because you're already reached by that tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, because all that tackle has to do is give you kind of good arm, and now he's climbing. That guard can. I mean, you got to fight off the guard that's overtaking you. But I mean, I don't know. That would be where I would feel. And plus, I think Trap's going to hit a lot quicker then. And with a 3-3, 3-5, 3-4, Trap's a little bit tougher. And maybe not. You run it, I don't. But Trap's a little bit tougher to defend, I would think, especially with it hitting that quick and kind of an A gap.
Okay, so this is where I see it. When we run a 3-4, our outside linebackers are some of our better athletes. Like they technically could probably play safeties, and because they're that quick.
Right.
Our ends are in 4 eyes just because of the scheme that we run behind it. So we ran into a lot of spread teams last year. We're going to run into less spread teams this year. So we're probably not going to be in 4 eyes as much. But the reason why we were in 4 eyes the whole time is because when when guys are in a spread 2x2 or 3x1 and they run the ball and their primary runs are inside and outside zone, those 4 eyes kind of mess up the blocking in inside zone for sure. We're basically taking away both of the B gaps where inside zone's supposed to hit.
Right.
And then our nose guard is actually playing a push or a lag technique with one of our middle linebackers. So we basically, what we're doing is we're eating up 4 gaps with 3 guys. And so their answer, like you were talking about, was to kind of try to run outside zone a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, our outside linebackers have a trigger where when they're reading it and they see some sort of action, they trigger to the C gap and it's just automatic. And that meant for us that our people that ran inside zone on us weren't very successful. To tell you the truth though, what was more successful against us was actually not blocking our 4 eyes and reading them in a power read type of scheme.
Okay.
And one of the other reasons why we're in it too, because the B gaps are now eliminated, it takes away the linebacker conflict in an RPO. We didn't see a lot of RPOs this year. We ran into like 2 teams, I believe, that were pretty consistently heavily running an RPO. One of them is a little bit harder to defend than the other because they were in a pistol. So we didn't know which way the quarterback would turn. And that's when we went to like this belly and back read. So like if the quarterback showed his belly, you knew he was reading to that side. So the back side would actually come down and help play run, including the safety on the back side. And he would just clean up anything in the middle if it popped. But on the play side, we wanted to give the quarterback, he was like the best athlete they had. We wanted to give the quarterback a run read because we didn't want him to throw the ball. So we give him all the coverage that he sees over there, but meanwhile, everything's coming back towards the inside zone on the other side. And that was pretty successful. I mean, the kid still kind of carved this up a little bit because he's good. He's a Division I quarterback. And I've talked about it multiple times, but that was the game that no one expected us to be in. And
Right.
we were right there the whole time, and we lost in the last 5 minutes of the game. Kind of fucking heartbreaking still. I'm still thinking about that shit. Damn it. Anyways, but yeah, so I do prefer 4 eyes, but to answer the question though, completely, I guess it depends on what we're playing and who we're playing. If we're playing spread teams that, run a lot of inside outside zone, we're going to be in 4 eyes probably. If we're playing like a flex bone wing T team or whatever, we're probably going to be out on a 5. And you're like, well, they'll hit us with inside veer a lot. That's fine, because that's what we're practicing to stop. Because you can't be stupid about your own defense. You got to know what's weak based off of what the offense does. So, when we're playing the only flex bone team that we play, like, I hope they don't watch this, but when we know based off of our alignment, they're not going to run midline. They're going to run inside veer. So we rep the shit out of inside veer. And then this year they brought down a tight end, and it kind of messed with us a little bit, but then we just switched our responsibilities and it was over. Like, kind of felt like they gave up in the third quarter because they knew they weren't running, or they weren't going anywhere anymore. And the game was close. I think it was 14-13 at halftime, and we were down, and we ended up winning like 28-14. But like, when we made the adjustment, they could tell we figured it out, and they couldn't figure out what we were doing, which was even better. So yeah, 4 eyes, I'm down. Now it's time for the other side of the
Well, one quick question. What's your adjustment? So if it's a team that's 2x2 and they bring in a tight end, what would be your adjustment?
So since it's a 2x, like, our outside linebackers, their alignment is based off of the number 2 receiver. So we count it from, outside to inside. So now the number 2 receiver is the tight end. And we'll actually bring him down and be in like a 8 or a 9 and kind of just blow it up. And we won't let him off we'll try our best not to let him off the ball. We'll just try, mess with him on the line.
Right.
But we're still kind of triggered there. The hard part though is our Mike now has to realize he has C gap. Because the Sam, or not our Sam, it's not called our Sam, our Eagle or our Sam linebacker, he's now playing technically the D gap outside of the tight end. And our end, our D end, our 4 eye is going into the B gap. So now C gap's open. Our Mike has to realize he has C gap with the tight end inserted. And when we get that idea, it's usually fine. He might even actually slide over instead of a 30 being like a 40 just to help himself out. And it's usually not that noticeable. But yeah, we'll just adjust that.
Gotcha.
Offensive time. This one's a long one. Jesus.
This is. Well, and I mean, it's also kind of your specialty here. So need some help. I coach a 12U team, and we run double wing and T formation. We outscore our opponents 210-0 through 8 games.
Why do you need help?
Right. I like, not from us. Till today, we lost 6-2.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's pretty close game.
Score.
Right. Over the last couple of weeks, teams are stacking the box and sending the linebackers. We tried snap counts, which worked some extent, but today we couldn't move the ball at all. We tried passing, but they were so quick we couldn't get the ball off. They're still sending linebackers like crazy. We are heading to the playoffs and need some help blocking against the super stacked box. Enzo Vernetti from Illinois.
Okay, so I don't know what your scheme, like, you have, double wing and a T formation. I think the thing that you are missing is or the information that I'm missing is what counters do you have to go on top of your normal runs? If you're in a double wing formation, you're probably running a lot of power toss with the quarterback. Like, do you have that counterplay installed? I know that one's probably pretty expensive because it's a lot of down blocking and pulling. But for the linemen, if you're running double wing, it's basically power to the other way. You know, like they're still going to down block and pull, but it's going to be just the opposite direction. Let me think. What would these guys do? So I don't know if you've tried running like a jet type of look out of it, right? I mean, you've done double wing, so don't tell me this is my thing. You've actually run this offense. And then out of the T formation too, like the T is just a formation. Like I don't know what you're running out of that formation.
Right.
Because there's a whole offense just based off of the power T formation, and that's just a lot of deception and a lot of like fakes and carrying that thing out. I don't know if you ever watched that. Maybe you should, because like it's ridiculously complex and simple, but it's fantastic. Dude, I have problems finding the ball watching it on film. Like it's literally that good. So maybe like that's another thing you work on out of the T formation is what plays are you running? Because there's just one series I can think of in particular where the fullback is faking trap, then you're faking the sweep, and the quarterback is, running a boot, but it all looks the same every single time. And the blocking scheme is so minutely different for each of them. It's hard to distinguish between all of them.
Right.
And on a lot of the times, especially in high school, you hear the guys saying, well, just tackle everybody. And I think I've said this before, but a coach that runs the power T, when he hears tackle everybody, he knows the game's over because these guys have no clue what's going on. And also too, it sounds like you said that the blitzing like crazy, right? So there should be something in place where you guys can handle that blitz. Like it can't be just like, oh, you're getting that guy. There's
Right.
no way an offense is just you get that guy. There's rules in place for stuff like that, right?
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, you were the double wing guy before this. Well, before your conversion to say
to the white.
yeah.
Yeah, so being a 12U team, I don't know if you could cut. That'd be maybe one of the issues. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, jet sweep, anything that you're going to, I would tighten down those splits.
Mm-hmm.
Make it so that the box is going to be really, really snug. And then I'm going to take whoever my dudes are that I normally run the ball with, and I'm going to put them out at my wings, and I'm going to motion them with jet. And I'm just going to jet them across, and we're going to go left, we're going to go right, we're going to go left, we're going to go right. This was actually why I really enjoy the air raid, is because it's this boring. We're going to keep doing that until they start widening out, and then once they widen out, then I'm going to hit trap up the middle with that big honky fullback, right? I mean, and like guys, it's not rocket science. Like that's how you're going to move the ball. Like it's not very complex. And then kind of get back to our wedge question. If you don't if your quarterback's going to be your stud, then you wedge it. Like then don't run trap, just wedge it. And what I would do is fake the jet, have him come all the way back around. This is my guy, Coach Gordon Elliott up in Washington. Fake the jet. He pulls a full circle and then get right into that wedge block. And I mean, it hits pretty quick. And I mean, you'll be off to the races, especially in 12U. You're talking 11 and 12-year-olds. That would be what I would run out of it. Passing wise, if you're not a team that passes a lot, don't start throwing the ball now because you're not going to be very good. Just like in the question.
Yeah.
And like the snap count should have been used all season.
Yeah.
Snap counts are deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Like
especially freeze, dude. That shit. Like we
right.
Go to the ball real quick and freeze it. And
right. I mean, you watch Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is probably one of the best at getting people to jump off sides. I love watching it when he was out in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like I watched him last week.
You mean San Diego?
Yes, my bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
Get it right. He was kind of, I mean, he was kind of, but still.
Yeah.
All right. Next one.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, dude, I just talked about this. We're really struggling blocking 4 eyes and an odd front in some of our base runs. We run basic stuff like inside zone, outside zone, power, and ISO. On power, we can wash them down, but we really struggle on inside zone. Any thoughts, suggestions? And that's Jonathan Keithley from Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm going to go first. If you're running inside zone with 4 eyes, that's what they want you to do.
Right.
It eliminates, your B gap stuff, and they have that, power, push and lag technique going probably. And that's what this 4i thing is designed to do, is to help take away inside zone and to help eliminate linebacker conflict in the B gap. So you're probably going to have to scheme around that. Now, one of the other things I guess you could do, which I've seen teams do against us, is if, let's say, you're running and you really want to run inside zone. Okay, try it this way. Let's go 2x2 or whatever, right? And we're running inside zone to the offense's right. Okay, so block inside zone like normal on the right side all the way up until the tackle. All right, the tackle now blocks out on the outside linebacker, and then you read the 4i.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So everyone's climbing, everyone's doing the same thing. You're still 4-on-4 with the other side, and you're still 1-on-1 on the backside. And the one guy you're reading now is now the 4i. Do that, because our 4i now is, or my 4i, I tell them you don't deal with quarterback ever. So he's going to go get the running back and chase that. Meanwhile, your quarterback pulls it, and if everyone's blocked up, now your quarterback has an alley to run through.
Right.
That's how I would run inside zone against the 4i. I did say earlier too that power read gave us a little bit of fits, but let me preface that by saying that the team that runs the power read, they had some really good ass athletes. Their quarterback wasn't the quarterback in their power read scheme. They basically took their fastest track guy, mm-hmm. and they put him at quarterback, and they had an all-conference running back with him, who's fast and strong. And oh my God, if I show you that, I'm going to show you this clip after the show's over. He made one of my linebackers look like an 8-year-old. Oh my God, this thing blew up. Like on the opposing coach's Twitter, he posted it. It got like 15,000 views. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro, you're famous. And he's like, you talking shit, coach? I'm like, well, I mean, kind of. You don't want to listen to me when I'm trying to teach you how to tackle. So like, this is kind of what's going to happen.
You get what you deserve.
Yeah, dude, this their athlete, their running back, dude, he was a beast, bro. Like he was 200 pounds, stocky, like 5'11", maybe 5'10". Like he's not very tall, but it's like, Jesus, this kid can bring it for a high school kid for sure. And but yeah, so they had that guy back there with the track athlete running power read. And the track athlete wasn't even a track athlete, like he was a baseball player. He was just hella fast. And our kids couldn't keep up with that speed. Especially from him. Like he made my free safety. He just went, and then off he went. Like, oh God, it's going to be that kind of night. Mm-hmm. What do you got? Anything?
Pretty much same stuff. Like if inside zones, out of that 4i look, I would say go to outside zone then. Like not necessarily scrap inside zone altogether. Try and get them to widen out a little bit. Or I guess what you could do is kind of get a fold between your guard and your tackle and have your tackle climb up to that linebacker. Mm-hmm. If you're really like dead set on running inside the tackle, I guess that would work. If you didn't want to read the 4i, because I think you're right. Like that's the easiest way, because that 4i is never going to come and get the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I mean, just out of his responsibilities, because if he's coming and getting the quarterback, there's no one left for that running back.
Nope.
So you just hand it to him all day.
And like the quarterback to attack the mesh either, because he's not that athletic for like to do stuff like that. It's like, God, give him something to do.
Right. Yeah, like you probably don't have Myles Garrett like on your team. And if you do, then
watch out for the flying helmets.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that would be it. Like you could, if you really were dead set on running inside zone, I would fold that tackle underneath, or I'd run outside zone, because I think against that 4i, it sets up outside zone really nicely and gives you almost a lead blocker with that tackle up to that outside linebacker.
I just thought of something. Maybe if you really wanted to run inside, you could try to fold.
Isn't that what I just said?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, I don't know. I thought you didn't. I thought you said outside zone.
I said you could. Well, I said you could fold the tackle.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part then. I was just still thinking about your outside zone suggestion. I was like, that's not bad.
But yeah, you could fold, you could go guard center, fold, right? I mean,
no, I was thinking guard tackle fold.
That's what I was saying.
Sorry,
That's literally what I just said.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm space casing. The next question.
Oh shit. What are your thoughts on running offense out of one formation? For example, you run stick, mesh, pin and pull, screen, and drive, etc., all out of 3x1. LeVar Newsom out of Mississippi.
First.
Yeah, I mean, truth, like you guys, for the most part, you guys run almost everything out of the same formation. I know you guys dabble in a little bit different.
I mean, let's just say it's 80% one formation.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Like I think, especially this year, where you're not going to have as much time to install everything. Like we didn't get any time in the summer. We would normally have a full summer to get through our whole playbook. We're going to hopefully kick off February 15th, and we're going to have 2 weeks before our first game. And like, yeah, we might be limiting it to a 2x2 and 3x1 look, and that's about it. But again, our playbook's super slimmed down. So I think, yeah, I think you could. I definitely am not against it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your thoughts.
I mean, I'm not against it, and the reason why I'm not against it, I know it's not a 3x1 formation, but when I did my presentation with Tyler Fairs and they ran the single wing, they were in heavy right 100% of the time.
Yeah,
they won a state championship in one formation. It was nuts. I was like, holy, are you shitting me right now? And it's like in that offense, for sure, you know what's coming, but now you have to stop it. And I know it's, the single wing is not 3x1 stick mesh pin pull screen, but I mean, it doesn't mean you couldn't do it. They were just really good at what they did. Yeah.
Right. It makes calling plays really easy because you don't ever have to give them a formation.
Right. That's true.
I mean, like a lot of air raid guys will only run things out of one way. They don't rule it up where they'll run it left and right. They'll only run it right.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't see why you couldn't do it.
Yeah, I
think 3x1 would be a little tricky, just because depending on where you are in the field, you could get stuck in a bad situation. But I guess you could always flip it. I don't know.
I think it would be okay. I don't know. I think it would be okay though. I think they could pull it off.
Yeah. But I would be for it. Like I said, I think that's more or less what we're going to do. So we're going to be 2x2 for the majority of probably our first couple weeks, and then maybe we'll dabble in 3x2 or 2x1 and get our 2 backs in. So
what percentage of plays concepts do you really love?
So I guess you can even answer this as a defensive coach. Like out of what you do defensively, like what stuff do you actually really kind of love? This is one of the questions I saw on Twitter, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a good last week question.
What percentage of plays or concepts do I really love? Let's see. For defense, I've started teaching and learning about cover 4 and 2 read a few years ago, and I really enjoy it. I really like that idea, and I really started learning more about the tight front too. That's why we kind of shifted to it. And I mean, we were already in a 3-4, but we were never in a 4-eye. And then it was funny because the defensive coordinator the previous year was like, why would anyone ever line up inside of the tackle? This is stupid. Before we went to the tight front the year before. And then the next year he sees me lining up in a 4-eye, and he kind of gives me this look, and I'm like, what I'm doing is going to be better than what we did last year. And it was. Because honestly too, like, until I'm not the type of guy to like, reinvent the wheel. I'm going to like look at what other guys are doing. And honestly, the best coaches steal from the best coaches too. It's like teaching, like you don't really want to reinvent the lesson plan. You're just going to take what you see and make it your own out of what, other teachers have done. But like those concepts with, the 4-eye being where they are and why they're there, taking away the B gap, the way to teach and coach, two read or palms or whatever heck you want to call it. Like, I think it's fun. And honestly, it was new for me. So I was a little bit apprehensive, but honestly, this is going to be year 2.5 doing it, I guess. I don't know, but it's cool because it kind of forces you to grow and learn. Because honestly, what we were doing before in our 4.25 or a 4.4, it just wasn't working for me anymore. I didn't like it. I found we were getting beat in certain ideas and concepts, especially with high school kids being able to throw the ball a lot better now as opposed to 10 years ago. When I first started coaching, like it's more fun to coach when you're learning things and trying to apply the stuff that you watch and you listen to. Like I listen to a bunch of 2 or 3 podcasts for sure. And then, you're always watching stuff on Pigskin or, Glacier Clinic or whatever the hell you're watching. But then that's great. But do you actually do it, or are you just watching it to watch it? Like I want to try the stuff that I learned. So on defense, those are my favorite concepts. On offense, the concept that I really enjoy is belly and veer. Don't ask me why. I mean, we run buck sweep, we run the hell out of buck sweep and all the buck sweep series, the 20 series, but I really like the belly and veer series too.
Yeah.
Go for it. I know you're going to say one thing.
No, actually, you're not.
Okay.
Truthfully, I would say the air raid stuff, it's something I do enjoy. It's probably the route running is more of what I enjoy out of this thing. So like the play would be truthfully Y cross than that mesh, because mesh there isn't a whole lot of route. There's not really any intricacies in how you run those routes. So it's an easy play to explain. It's a hard play to get good at and get consistently good at. So I'd say like that. The plays that I like the most are the ones that are kind of like you were talking about, the ones that you have to really dive deep into to find the nuances and how to kind of coach it and explain it to those kids so that then they actually get good at it and it looks like what you want it to look like. So that's where, like for me, like Y cross and not the way I normally run mesh, but kind of the mesh with running back fade out of the backfield is more of kind of the way that I really kind of gets me going, gets me excited. And then jet sweep, like for me, jet sweep is really the play that got me going offensively. That
really,
I really like. Truthfully, I really
coming out of you. All right.
I really like that double tight, double wing. Jet sweep, like it's just my kids, it didn't fit them. Like, and I'm not going to try and put a square peg in a round hole. Like I will say, air raid's great because you get kids out there that are going to enjoy catching football. Like those basketball kids, I got basketball kids out that wouldn't come out if they had to block a bunch of that.
Sure.
And like they're not going to go up against a linebacker on a tight end trap.
Yeah.
But run 5 yards, turn around. Yeah, they'll run a hitch.
Do that.
Right, I can do that. That's not a big deal.
All we got to do is avoid a corner,
right,
or get tackled by a corner. Getting tackled by a corner is never that bad. Like all they really do is grab on the legs and kind of wrestle you down.
Right.
And they might pop you when you're not looking.
For sure.
Yeah.
Love doing that.
Yeah.
But as far as recruiting goes, that's more of the shift. But as far as like what I really, really loved and really enjoyed coaching, like that double tight, double wing was pretty much it. Like that stuff from, like I was talking before, George Elliott up in Washington. It was like all those little nuances and things you could do with the line, like how you do with flipping the line and you had a strong line, your pull side and your zone side or your downside.
Something like that.
Something like that. It was all that. So I mean, and then defensively, I don't really like much.
I just like putting up points and it's cool.
Right. Like if I had to start over like defensively, I like the 3-3. I don't know. I just whatever fits the kids. Like that's really what it's going to come down to for me. I'm not tied or married to anything on that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a good question for last one of the.
I like it. I like it.
All right. So here we go. We got 2 more offensive questions here. As an offensive coach, how do you use linebacker reads against them? And that's Brandon Payne from Ohio.
Okay, I like this one. So in the wing T, we pay attention to a lot of things, right? But one of the other things that we pay attention to is actually what the linebackers are reading. So most of the teams we play will read the guards. So you have your sucker play where you are pulling the guards one way but the ball is still being run. How do I explain this? Okay, let's say like we're running buck sweep, right? And we notice that they're reading the guards and they're flying to it and they're bottling up trap pretty well. So there's a couple of things we have done in the past. One thing that we've done is just run like a fullback dive, but our guards will actually pull in opposite directions. And so the outside linebackers kind of just fly with it. And when that happens, like we just, block the front like we normally would with our center and our tackles if they're in an odd front. And then the hole's right through B gap / gap. And the linebackers go like, zzz, and then they see the ball and like, oh, I missed. And then by that time, our fullback's out of there. Right. That works pretty well for us every now and then. And then we do run like buck sweep guards opposite. So the guards will pull the opposite direction of the sweep action. The line basically blocks on. You can't really block gap down backer with that. Right. Or we'll run like guards opposite power, where the guards will pull opposite. And now we have a fullback that gets to insert with the ball or with the power look. And that actually works out pretty well. And then as soon as we realize, okay, they're not reading the linebackers, now they're reading the backs. Okay, cool. That's when all the, counter crisscross stuff comes in. We didn't run Sally too much, but that's where it would normally come into. Yeah, that's how we mess with their reads, especially if they're reading guard heavy for sure. And a lot of teams that play us, they will read guard heavy. Do you guys know anything?
So outside of like just your normal RPOs, like thinking of what you were talking about before with the way your outside linebackers come up on the way you play inside zone, the way we would handle that would be with running inside zone to the same side as we'd be reading the RPO, because we tend to do that. So instead of going across the quarterback's face, we'd go
with it.
The other way would be when we pass set, we'd pull a guy. Okay. So when we're going to a pass set, we look like we're running trap, just kind of get that linebacker moving out of the area we want to throw a ball to.
Yeah, get him to step up or
right over. At least slide over.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, nothing too crazy. But yeah, we don't move our guards too often. So,
I
mean, not a ton of stuff to read. Last year we did do kind of like your counter crisscross play, where we'd flash fake when we were in 2-back, we'd flash fake a back, and he'd go in front and then fill for the guard that pulled a kick out, and then we give it to the second back. But that's about it. That's as tricky as we get as far as trying to get the
linebacker reads.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the other things that we've done or that I've tried in the past, and I can't really think of any right now. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I mean, on our counter crisscross play too, we don't pull our guard. So like the linebackers are used to reading the guard, and then as soon as they don't pull or do something, like they're coached, because normally when you're teaching to go against the wing T, like if he pulls, you follow. If he blocks down, you're going to fill it.
Right.
But on our counter crisscross play, he actually blocks kind of out.
Yeah.
So then we watch the linebackers kind of go like, what the shit is that? And then by that time, the second handoff's happening and they're getting blocked by a guy on the opposite end.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll mess with that sometimes too. Or we can run sweep without any guards. We'll say like Bucks, what do we call it? 28 sweep solid, where nobody pulls. So
Okay.
it's basically, I don't know, it turns into duo.
Or yeah, duo or like stretch.
Yeah, something like that. It depends on how we coach it. And honestly, I don't know how we're going to coach that this year. I don't have my line coach. I already missed him. The guy we got, don't get me wrong, the guy we got is a good coach.
Just
But
right. It's just different.
this is different.
I get you.
Yeah. All right. Looking for some input. I'll be coaching offense for an 8-man arena team. Oh shit, 8-man arena team this season. I see a lot of 8-man teams using a lot of different run schemes, but I think we have the talent to air it out with more basic schemes. I'm leaning towards a lot of jet sweep RPO stuff. That doesn't seem basic. Has anyone had success with that? Or have any advice? And that's David Dietrich from Illinois. There's a diagram to go with it.
There is a diagram to go with it.
So flash diagram.
It's like crazy. So I have done this. I've done this actually almost exactly. Not an 8-man, but in 11. And it works pretty well. I would say the one thing I would change would be going off the backside as your slant, and not your play side, just because that play side kind of like post slant doesn't always work as well. It's a little tougher read. That would be kind of my little thing. That and that play side slant is probably you probably want him blocking that corner more than running at the safety, because you're never going to throw that ball.
I'm just kind of wondering, like, okay, so you have like this person has, I'm assuming that dotted line means motion, right?
Right.
You have this in a one high look. How do you combat it when the safeties rotate?
Right.
Because like, I mean, I can see that safety flying over with the jet, sure, but then that other guy doesn't need to be there anymore, who's lined up on number 2, and what's stopping him from taking away the post.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. That's why I would say that backside from where motion came from is where you want to run that slant. I would do a slant more than a post.
Okay.
Especially if you're talking an RPO.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? If you
for sure.
Because then what should happen, right? If you're playing a sound defensive team, what should happen is that safety is going to rotate down, or you're going to have the guy that's with the jet guy is going to motion with him.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to have space that's vacated instead of trying to throw into space that's going to be covered. I think it's just an easier read.
I honestly too, I wouldn't have the running back there. I would be in a 2x2. Is that running back kind of wasted there? You know, like, what is he doing?
I guess he maybe wants the triple.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, hang on.
You know?
With this jet motion,
like,
was that ball snapped in between the tackle and the other X out there on the right? And then they're reading.
I guess
he's riding the back, and then so it's like a post wheel.
I guess.
I mean, that could be a little bit better.
Yeah, if that's the case, that would be better. But then I wouldn't say that I'm using jet with it. You know what I mean? Like at that point, jet's no longer part of the play action.
Yeah. Why not just do the dive or RPO read on the 2x2 side, so you eliminate all the motion stuff?
Right.
I don't know. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I don't know enough about 8-man football. Like, what kind of coverages do they run? I mean, it's obvious it can't be just a straight cover 2 look like I'm used to, or a cover 3.
Right.
I don't know, bro.
But I will say,
like this 8-man, 9-man football thing, dude, because we've had some questions with that, and I'm still kind of dumbfounded.
I still want to know, like, where you put the 9th man.
9-man? Yeah, where does it go?
But yeah, like Coach Dietrich, I would say, like, from what you have drawn up, if you're going with that post wheel, if that's what you're looking for, I would do it. That's not a bad look. I guess you're saying the conflict defender would be that corner. But I think that safety is going to rotate over, and he's going to take away your post. and that corner is going to bail out with the wheel, and you're never going to throw either one of them. So I don't know that you're going to get a cloudy read every time, which means you're handing off every time. Which, if you're okay with that, that's fine. But then I don't know why you're doing all the window dressing for something that really doesn't affect the people you want it to affect, because you're not changing the box then, right? Because you still have a 4-man box, so you have 3 on 4. I guess maybe if that middle linebacker bumps over, it kind of helps you. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you, Gonzalez. There's some other things there that I don't know. I would ride that jet more than I would
ride the dive.
Right.
Yeah.
Because what I've done in the past is it's more of a proximity fake on the jet, but I would have that jet come across, so it's at least a proximity fake, and then we'd run like trap off the jet. Yeah, that's what it was. We'd run trap, and that's where I'd ride it, and then that would give me on that backside single receiver now, that where the jet came from, where I could get that read, and that would be the RPO I would go with, and I'd pretty much I'd almost kind of going back to one formation. I'd almost just run one play.
Okay.
And I'd run that one play, so I'd either get jet, trap, or then I have a slant, or sometimes I'd go with a go. And you can, I mean, you're talking an arena team, so you have some, I would assume, older people, right? Adults, so you could coach them up on how to read whether you're running a slant or a go route. I don't know. That would be me. That would be my thing, I guess.
Go with him, because I don't know. Go for the next one, bro.
Yeah. So some more diagrams. This is from Coach Newsom out in Mississippi. Thoughts? This is a game on the goal line situation. Looks like 2 different diagrams here. One kind of how I
basically like a swinging gate.
And then one was like, we called it pods.
Okay.
The swinging gate one, that's pretty much how you run swinging gate. I don't know that I like the H coming across like that. That was our shitty play.
I do remember you saying that. Run the shitty one. Yeah, I remember you saying that before.
That was our shitty play. I do like the F coming across, because that gets him in the play a little bit. But if I was going to run it that way, I'd almost have the H come behind the quarterback to do speed option, and then have F come in front like he's doing, and then that could be that quick shovel, or I could speed option, and then
shovel out of that. I didn't even. Okay, that's
that's how I would. So my F would have to be my pretty fast kid to get over there. But at the same time, my Z, I'm going to have him walk across the goal line, turn around, and just stand there, right?
Yeah.
If they come up and don't block, like stay with them, I'll just toss him the ball.
I mean, our swinging gate looks a little bit different, or the one that I learned from another coach. The F and the H are basically where they're at. The line's where they're at. The X, though, is our running back, and we run option out of that.
Okay.
And the E and the Y are the 2 eligible receivers for sure. I mean, obviously, the running back would be eligible as well, but based off how they align, I think we talked about it already. Like, we just call 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Right.
And then, like, 1 was the speed option, 2 was the Y's running a fade, and the E's running like a 5 to 10 yard out, just making sure you're getting past the first down line or whatever we need. And then we had the screen play to the H. Yeah. Our F really never did anything.
Well, and that's like, neither does, like, ours would run to the back of the end zone sometimes. But I felt like that was more because he was kind of a fuck. And we'd be like, yeah, just run to the back of the end zone. Because all he would do is complain like, hey, when am I getting the ball? When am I getting the ball? When am I getting the ball? And it's
Never.
Like, right. Like, oh, you can run to the back of the end zone when we boot right.
Yeah. We're putting the other way, and he's on the back side of the hole.
I got it. I was open.
Yeah, you were.
Yep.
Because the damn quarterback didn't see it again. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. We'll get you next time.
Yeah. The play on the top, though, I'm worried. I don't know. I guess I'm looking at this too. I think it'll also depend on how the defense aligns, right?
Right. Like yeah.
Because if they're even everywhere,
right, you're going to check out of it and just kick it. And I think the play on the top, it's easier to line up correctly.
You know what? Hang on. Now that I think about this, I was at a Glacier clinic where I think it's Saddleback Community College. They do this with their extra points every time. Okay. And where the Z's at, the kicker is. So the rule is we're never throwing to the kicker. Right. That's their rule. And then they just decide, are they running the ball or are they throwing the screen? Yeah, dude, they're actually pretty successful with this the whole time.
Really?
Yeah, but I think one of them, there's a few times where like one of those three guys is eligible, like the T and the Y are off and the F and the H are on, or something like that, where the quarterback will like kind of Tim Tebow it and run up the line and then just dump it. Yeah. That one seems interesting, but again, like it's hard to decide what you're going to do when you don't have a defense on a whiteboard because you don't know how they're going to line up.
Right. Yeah. No, I guess, yeah, now that you say that. So like what we did was our kicker would be standing next to our special teams coach. Mm-hmm. And if we got a look that we didn't like, then we'd send the kicker out. So like we'd have dudes all over the place, or at least people that we trusted to catch the football or handle the football. So we didn't have to worry about like, oh crap, the kicker has to be out there, and that poor son of a bitch, he's not going to. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Right. So, but yeah. Now that it's interesting. My special teams coordinator is probably not going to like the text message he's going to get here shortly, but.
I got something for you.
Right. We're going to switch up our kickoff or our extra point this year.
Yeah.
And you need to install it in 3 days. So
is it your turn or my turn?
You go.
I don't remember. What?
You could go.
Sure. All right. So watching film and trying to break it down for the varsity offensive coordinator. Wanted to know what specifically I'm looking for on how linebacker reacts to down blocks or pulling guards. That's Coach Payne in Ohio. So you're breaking the film down for the OC, right? That's how I see it?
Yeah. So probably, getting to the playoffs. I mean, most people are, right? Most other states are ending their seasons, right?
Right about now?
Yeah.
Pretty close to it. Because even our normal time in California, the end of October, early November is when the regular season ends and playoffs will start.
Right.
Yeah. So damn, dude, we're so off with this thing, man.
Right.
You never realize how much you miss something until it's gone. If you're looking for what the linebacker's doing, down block does he fill? Like what does he do with the down block? If he takes a while to read it and then react to the fill, like cool, you can probably, run right at that kid now. Because if you down block somewhere where he's at, you're probably going to down block him with the tackle he's not looking at, and you're probably going to trap. So do that. So how fast does he fill? And then for pull, like how fast does he trust his eyes? You know what I mean? Because if he's pulling and you know that the linebacker is really good at reading, well, we can do the plays that we've talked about, like in the last 15 minutes where you're kind of messing with him a little bit and mess with his read and take him away from the ball based off of his pull. We kind of did that with how we ran power pass out of a little while, or the last few years. Normally our tight end would just run a corner and then we'd run an arrow with the wing back. and then kind of half roll to it. But there's been a few instances where we actually ran power on our O-line, and the backside guard did pull, and it forced the backside linebacker to flow with it because we knew he would follow, and our tight end just kind of dragged across and settled where that guy would be, and our quarterback just turned and dunked it to him, and that worked out really well. I don't know. That's what I would do. Or that's what I would say to the OC. Like, he fills really well or he doesn't. Does he follow his guard? Then tell him, you know?
Yeah, and maybe just like the quickness of how quickly, like if, you know, within one step, like that guard takes one step and he's reacting, or the guards, like for us, I'll talk about it in like pass set, the guy gets pretty much all the way to the back of his pass set and then he starts dropping. Well, that's kind of a good thing to know.
Yeah, that's a slow read too. Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, you want to know how long he's taking on his read, right?
Well, yeah, that's exactly the point. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really about it though. There's not really much more. Like, so
that's true. There's not much to that one. Just how fast does that linebacker reader do his job?
Right.
If my guy is taking the whole drop back from your guard or whatever, fuck, get out, bro. Like, we work on the read. Like, read. I tell my kids.
Is that high hat or low hat?
Dude, don't even get me started. I tell my kids in their first 3 steps, like I make them take a read step in those first 3 steps, and they're really short, really tiny. It's like boom, 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 really fast. If you're not reacting by then, you're gonna be next to me because we rep that shit every single day. Right. You know, I'm like, no. This isn't how we do this. Anyways, I'm gonna just you ask me this next question because
I was going to skip it for time's sake.
No.
Anyone have any resources on installing the wing tee? How do you practice? How do you practice it? Practice plans. Okay. John Preller up in Minnesota.
1 second, John.
So the short answer, John, is you go to online Chief Pigskin.
That's actually a really good resource. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Okay, so for our clinic site with Chief Pigskin, we actually have some really, really good plays to install and like series to think about. A lot of really good coaches have gone through that, and I think because obviously Nate's he claims that he's not like a specific guy anymore, but he's like a wing tee guy at heart. We know it. Right. And that's like kind of what he had in the very beginning of everything. So it stayed, and it's all still really good. The latest one was like a second man video. That was really good. A lot of people usually will tend to pick up these 2 books from Denny Crehan. These are pretty good. There's also Tubby Raymond stuff. I haven't really actually looked at it, but it's not too different from what Crehan has. Other stuff that you can look at, let me think. Jim Mathiasen out in Washington, he calls it the left coast wing tee, something like that. He's got stuff on Coach too that's really good. Kenny Simpson's got stuff that we actually had him on our clinic too. He has some stuff that's really, really good. Rick Stewart has stuff on pistol wing tee. And Roger Holmes has a lot of good stuff on Coach Shoe, but I honestly prefer Roger Holmes' style of wing tee. His is not like Denny Crehan's or Tubby Raymond's. I've said it before, and I don't remember who he learned from, but the way that he can tag his blocking, they're blocking buck sweep like 5 or 6 different ways, and they're good at all 5 or 6 different ways. So it's pretty effective, and he's a really knowledgeable coach. He's a good guy too. Talked to him in person a few times, and he's pretty funny. How we did it in practice? Basically, we took a day for a series. So like buck sweep was Monday, belly series was Tuesday. I think veer was like Wednesday. There was one more, or jet and veer were Wednesday, and then on Thursday we kind of threw it all together, just to keep the kid, like how we would actually call a game. Right. Because on Thursdays, we don't do a normal walkthrough. Some teams or coaches will just kind of go through the motions and shit. I don't like doing that because then, the kids just get too lazy about it and practice just becomes, I think it's a waste of time. So like our practice is like an hour and a half on Thursday. But like they're still in helmets and shoulder pads and we're moving, we're kind of like thudding a little bit. We're not taking no one to the ground, but it's an actual practice minus like the individual stuff. Like we just cut the individual stuff out and then we focus and like no group periods. So it's just like special teams, offense and defense, but we go and we kind of treat it like an actual game. So that works well for us. There's a lot of different drills though that you need per each position to get good at. Like we use this drill for the running backs called the fool me drill. There's a 90-degree cut drill that we do for the running backs for buck sweep. There's a blocking drills are always really good. And obviously the O linemen, we have them run around hoops and do the sweep drill a ton. Our receivers, who cares to show what they do? I'm just kidding.
Blocking.
They're blocking.
They're just really glorified O linemen.
They're skinny O linemen. Yeah. And if they block well, we try to reward them and get them the ball.
The two times a game you pass it.
Maybe.
Right.
All right. That's kind of already a lot. I'm done.
Oh, Jesus.
Did you wake up?
Go get more coffee after that. This has been very, very wing T-ish heavy or run heavy.
That's because it's you ain't winning stuff without running the ball. I mean,
for sure.
Go tell Leach to run the ball some more. Maybe they'll have another good game.
That's true.
All right, last offensive question.
So it didn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. How do you attack defenses and read defenses to call plays? How do you attack defense and how do you attack defense and read defenses to call plays? So you're an O coordinator. What are you looking for?
So in game. So I guess pre-game. So during the week, like when I'm watching film, I'm looking for who's their weak links. So there's normally like their worst guy on their D line that they're trying to hide somewhere. And that's the guy, if we're going to run the ball, that's the guy we want to kind of go after. Then in the secondary, in their coverage, we want to look at matchups. Who's a good matchup for us? So sometimes, I'm not going to lie, their best cover guy might be on like our best receiver. So you would say, oh, well, but is your best receiver better than their best cover guy? Well, no. And so we go to our next receiver then. So it's not like, oh, well, we got to always get it to our dude. We'll get it to our dude at some point and we'll move him around. But we're looking for our best matchup for us to win. We're not going to worry about, well, we need to get Jimmy the ball because he's our D1 receiver. Well, if our D1 receiver is matched up with your D1 corner, then why am I going to force the ball in that situation?
Do the corner, those like their number one corners, do they follow your best receiver? Like, do you move your best receiver from like the outside to the slot and then to the third guy in trips or anything like that?
Yeah, so we'll play around with that to kind of see that, and that will be in our script that those first 10 plays we're going to move him and we're going to see. So if their best cover guy also is kind of a crappy tackler and he follows them into the slot, well, that's great because now that means we can get the edge if we want it. Because now they don't have anyone that's going to set the edge. Those are kind of things we do. And then once we get in the game, kind of like that, I'm going to script out my first 10, and I have very specific things. I want answers to questions because pretty much what you see on film, obviously they're not playing you guys. And so you're going to try and find teams that are comparable, but they're not going to be teams that are you, that do things as well as you do or as not as well as you do. So you want to make sure that that you get answers to your questions so that you can kind of keep your game plan going and just make sure what you thought, what you saw, just get confirmation more or less of what you saw during the week on film. And I would say when you see kind of the defense, when they're rotating guys a lot, that's to me, a sign that they're getting frustrated with something, and that's where I'll go and attack. The other thing is I give our quarterbacks and receivers a lot of leeway to kind of talk to each other and say like, hey, yeah, number 8 wasn't very good. We thought he looked better. Well, I can get him. Okay, well, we're going to take a shot then. Like if my receiver comes over and says, Coach, I could take that kid, then I'm going to give him a chance. And the next time we go out on offense, we're going to take a shot at it. Same thing with my quarterback. If my quarterback's like, yeah, no, they're giving me a window. If we can get so-and-so into that window, I got it. I'm going to give him that opportunity. And that's also where I let the quarterback audible a lot in the game. So like I might call a play, but it doesn't, I would say probably 7 out of 10 times it's the play that gets called, but those other 3, he's adjusting on the fly to make sure we get put in the best situation.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not going to let my quarterback do that.
Well, but guys, we like, hey, hand to right, hand to left. Like there's a lot more that goes.
There's the middle.
That's right. Turn around, get skinny, hand it to the middle.
Yeah. So when we attack defenses, we're basically just looking at a few things to start. Like, are they playing us really aggressive? Are they trying to penetrate, or are they reading? Or are they kind of playing back based off of the kid's body language and how they're reacting to what our guys are doing? And then from there, we talk about like, okay, well, if this kid's, coming really hard with our down block, then we're going to run this play instead. Because like in the wing T, there's always an answer to what the defense is doing. Now, whether or not the kids can execute the answer or not is another thing, and how well you coach that answer, because it's all series-based type of offensive stuff. But that's one of the first things we're looking for. I think I've talked about it before. We do look at who's the best and worst D linemen are. Sometimes we attack the best one. Sometimes we attack the worst one. The best one we might tend to read more with veer. Just because, that guy's probably going to destroy our kid blocking him. Like, let's be for real. So, like, let's just not block him. I mean, dude, yeah, that's basically what we're looking for. And then as soon as, we start seeing guys creep up into the box, time to pass it maybe that one time, and hopefully we hit that home run.
Yeah. Tight end running down the field, nobody paying attention to. Easiest ball in the world.
Yep. All right. Program questions?
Yeah, program questions.
Let's roll. I think you're up.
All right. Best workout program for guys beginning off-season workouts after season's over. Need weight gain, mass, and get stronger. And this is Chris Williams out in Alabama.
Okay, so I was really fortunate. My first year, I had a S&C guy as a coach, and he brought a weightlifting program from a Humboldt State in California. And he went there to play ball, and he, got really into the workout scene over there, and he brought that. So we did use that. My second year though, he left because he went back to grad school, which was good for him because he wanted to go back and finish. We ended up using Platform. I don't know if you guys have seen like the advertisements and stuff for it. Honestly, that program was really, really nice. It was good. They had all the workouts you needed. You can modify it if you needed to. Like, it was fantastic. The problem is it was just a little expensive. Now, to kind of counteract that, what I ended up doing was looking really heavily into that 180 athletic. I can't. With Coach Kano.
Yeah, and, Coach, he's actually from my neck of the woods. It's that program is actually not that bad. I looked in it. I ended up buying it. I ended up buying it just to look at it, and we actually implemented some of it because I just thought it was interesting. And he doesn't charge a whole lot, like it's not like anything groundbreaking, I think, but it was like $150. He plans it out for you for the whole year, and he just sends you the program. And I'm like, okay. So we've kind of incorporated, that Humboldt thing with the Platform with Kano stuff. And then recently, I've actually thrown those workouts into rack with the timer.
And that was the thing that really sold me on rack. Rack didn't have the like set workout plan for you, but it did have the features that you want in the workout that the other stuff just doesn't have. So we started using all three of those things combined with rack before COVID hit. And then obviously that happened, and we didn't really get to use rack a whole lot after the kids got used to it, the coaches got used to it. It was fun. But then honestly, recently you gave me that speed workout, that feed the cats thing, right?
Right.
And we used that day one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, straight up. I straight up just copied your practice plan and said, put it in our time frame. And I'm like, thanks, Mac. Made my day easy today. And, I sent the guys, my coaches, the video that you sent me. And so they all watched it, and I watched it. And we talked about it a little bit because some guys were just a little bit more confused on, different things. And I'm like, I know we've never done this before. We've always done straight up weightlifting and strength training, but we can't play with weights right now. Like we get to condition. So, and they said no manipulatives, no nothing. The kids don't even get to touch the cones, let alone a bar. So yeah. So I was like, all right, well, Mac hooked me up with this speed training program. If this is all we get, then I'm going to do something that someone has already done and not try to make shit up myself. Yeah. And I went with that. So sorry, that was a long ass answer, but what are you doing?
How'd that go?
It was fun.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm not gonna lie, the kids puked. It was day one. I had in the whole varsity program, 2 or 3 puked. And it wasn't bad. And one of the DBs, he saved it to the end of practice. Like we were walking off the field, he was on the track, and I was walking behind him, and I see like, oh, got him. And I'm not trying to make the kids puke at all. Like I gave them plenty of rest, plenty of water breaks, and all this stuff, because honestly it was hot too. But he was like, Coach, I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't done shit in 7 months. I'm like, I believe you, 100% believe you. So yeah, we tried to take it easy on him. Yeah, and it was hot. So yeah, I knew there was gonna be someone, but like I said, I wasn't trying to make him puke. I told them, if you need a break, take a break. Like there were kids that they were needing to kind of settle down after the warm up. Like, okay. So it was fine.
Yeah. So I pretty much do that. What you were talking about at the end, the one thing that I was going to do before COVID hit was Brian Kula, who is actually Christian McCaffrey's trainer. He has kind of like Platform, but his own brand. I think it's cool. I wish I would have looked this up, but it's Kula Performance or Kula Fitness. On Twitter is the easiest way to find him.
How do you spell his last name?
Kula. Kula Sports Performance. He has an app, and we're going to use his app. And he has his workouts. And his workouts, we saw him at the Track and Football Consortium put on by Tony Holler and Brad Dixon and those guys that are more into the speed aspect of things as opposed to the power and like, let's put a bunch of crazy mass on, just because my kids aren't weight room junkies.
Sure. I think you've said it before.
Yeah. So they're going to go and they'll work out for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes if we're forcing them to, because they are going to do what we ask them to do, but they're not going to get giant. We have a lot of small Hispanic kids and they don't really eat enough to put on a bunch of mass.
You do? How the hell did they make it all the way to Illinois?
I don't know.
He's like, I don't
know. But they do, and that's mainly what we got at Elmwood Park. We're probably 50% Hispanic now, so yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I mean,
we're not an ag town.
98.
Right. We were a little more diverse. But Kula's big thing is he's big on deadlifts. There's a little bit of squatting in there. But it's a lot of your 3-rep maxes, and it's lifting heavy, and he's lifting heavy all year round. And we saw a lot of kind of big gains out of our kids. We don't do cleans. One, because they're to teach, and we don't have the time. Like I don't teach like an athletic PE class or anything, and our athletic PE class or strength conditioning PE class, there's like 50 kids still in it. So like the gym teacher was like, yeah, I'm not going to break down how to do cleans with them. And I'm like, I don't know, I get it, man. Like, I'm not saying you should. So we'll do some like kettlebell swings, but we don't teach cleans. We don't deal with that. If we do bench press once a week, but we lift heavy. We lift heavy all year round, and we're really not going more than 3-rep maxes on anything. And it's really worked out well. But Brian Kula, reach out to him. He's a real good dude. He'll get back to you pretty quickly. And Kula Performance, they have an app that we were going to actually rope it into our camp fee. He was like that a lot of schools are doing that. I don't know how you ended up paying for platform, but he was like that. The way that a lot of schools did it was the camp fee. They would just charge whatever more you wanted, but you would charge them for the app in the camp fee. So our camp fee would be like our practice jersey, the app fee, and I think we had something else. I think a T-shirt or some dumb shit. But then the other thing that we use and we've been using for the last couple of years that have helped our track team and our football team out is Tony Holler's Feed the Cats. And it's easy, it's quick. Kids are excited to do it. I think I had a lineman come up to me and ask if he could run more, which never happened.
Yes. That never happens. You're right.
Right. Like my linemen, they know what their 40 times are. Like they all are like, oh yeah, I ran a 5.3. And they knew like when they PR'd, like on their 40 time, and they were fucking jacked about it. Like, and they came back, like my one lineman that did ask if he could run it, he ran like a 5.8, and his PR was like 5.78. And he's like, Coach, I feel good. Can I run one more? And I'm like, nope, you ran your 3, dude. Like maybe tomorrow or maybe on Thursday. And he's like, shit. And he was pissed. He was pissed that he couldn't run. And I mean, these are sprints. Like when we're in gassers, you know, you get all of the kids out there and they're giving you that half-ass jog. And as a coach, you're just getting more pissed. Well, you're also getting them slower. I mean, the science behind it, the Tony Holler and Brad Dixon and Chris Corfus, they have science that backs it up. It makes sense. We've seen our kids get substantially faster. And I mean, you look at like Usain Bolt, dude's built, dude's a big dude, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
with that program, with what you sent me, is that the only thing you guys do for those days, or do you guys switch it up?
No, that was pretty much all we did. We couldn't get into the weight room either. So
no, well, yeah, but what I mean is like when you're doing the speed program, do you always do just those set exercises that were on the practice plan that you sent me, or were they?
We'll do some more stuff, a little bit more, but for the most part, I mean, it's pretty much that. There are some other things that we'll do here and there.
Okay.
Like there's, I think he calls it X Factor. Like it's just basically like playground playing around.
Sure.
But if you get a chance, the track football consortium, like if this is piquing your interest, they have dudes that come in from all over the place, and it is really good. And I think this year is all going to be online.
Okay. So dude, I'm looking at how much time we got to move. We got made fun of last time because of how long this thing was.
Right. So
yeah, but that was good. I like that. Like I'm really gonna keep using the Feed the Cats thing that you sent me because it I can't use weights, so I got to do something else. Yeah. Right. This one's kind of interesting. So now that our off season has started, we were 1-10. That sucks. I didn't make the playoff. We didn't make the playoffs. As a coaching staff, we decided our kids aren't mentally tough. What have you used to help players become mentally tough and have the guts to finish and fight to win? Our kids don't know how to win. We've had a losing program since the 60s, and anything would be great. Thanks in advance, Coach Taylor Bauer in Utah. He's asked a question on here before, right?
Yes, he's asked.
Honestly, I'm going to go do this real quick, and that is you guys need to get the kids together in the off season and do things together as a team to build like some type of brotherhood and community. Because I mean, honestly, you're saying that they don't know how to win, but that probably also means they don't know how to play together and, you know, have that like mentality of I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm doing this for the guy next to me and for the guys that actually don't really get to play too much, you know, the guys on the sidelines. And I tell the starters right now is like, if anyone you're playing for is obviously the guy next to you, but you're playing for the guys on the scout team that don't really get to play on Fridays. You know, they work their asses off all week so you can, you know, have your opportunity to play the best game on a Friday night. And those are the unsung guys that no one really cares about or knows about. I mean, it's hard. It's the truth though, right? Like some kids, they maybe get like 1 or 2 snaps a game if they're lucky.
Right.
You know, and like sometimes they're seniors and they're still there. They are literally still there every single day at practice, busting their ass for the guys that are on the field. And like I tell them, like the starters or the guys who get to play a lot, like those are the guys you're playing for. You know, those are the ones you got to keep those guys motivated because they're the ones getting their ass beat all week by you. You know,
and just to kind of add on is you got to teach them how to win. And that's not just winning in football. That's winning at everything. If we've had losing programs since the 60s. That means that since the 60s, they've been losers. So they have to change that mindset. And that's a mindset that's been 60 years now. That it's not going to turn around in a year. It's not going to turn around in a month. It's an ongoing process that you have to every day build them up into believing that what they're doing and what they're capable of is winning. So it's funny. It's like Ricky Bobby, you know, in the morning, I wake up and I piss excellence. Right. I wake up and I piss excellence, but that's what you have to get them to buy into and believe is that they're that good. And once you start getting enough of them to buy into that, because obviously you always have the kids that are cocky, but you don't want them cocky. You want them to believe that as a team that they are winners. And so that means with everything you do, you have to build them up to be winners. So that means in the weight room, you need to have competitions and you need to make sure that these competitions are built for them to be winners. If you have nobody that can throw up 2 1/4, don't put out there that you need to have 10 kids that can throw up 2 1/4. Have them throw up 185. Have them throw up 135. I mean, shit. Have them put the bar up there and say, hey, we want to see how many times you can rep it out. Just whatever you could do so that then they can feel confident and they can get excited to come back. And that's how you build this winning mentality. And that is how you start to change that culture. So,
I mean, this next question is a pretty good segue into that because the next question is.
I was thinking we end on this one.
Yeah, I like that too. Let's end on this one. What do you consider as a successful program?
Yeah, so like I saw this question. This question I pulled from Facebook. We didn't get this question. It was from one of the groups I was in. Actually, we're both in, and I was like, "This is a great way." I thought to kind of end our little 8-week run here. But to me, like a successful program is not just a winning program in the sense of they won a lot of games, but a winning program in the sense that they set their players up to do well after they left their program, you know, and if their players talk highly of them and come back and are there to, you know, kind of make sure that program lasts for a long time. Like I think of some of the successful programs kind of in my area, and they've never had that lull where you're like, man, they kind of sucked for a while. Like, there's always those up and down programs where like sure there's a program right now that had like a good 10-12 year run and they're good and they're having some success, but I'm not saying that that's what I think of when I think of a successful program. Like unfortunately for us around here, it's a lot of the private schools, but like the schools I think of are ones that are historically quality programs, and that's because of the culture they built. And they have a kind of that winning mentality, that mentality of we're going to week in, week out, even if they're having a losing season, they can hang their hat on, we're doing these things well. And we're going to produce these kids that are doing things well. So that to me, that's kind of a successful program. I don't know, Gonzo, how about you?
I'm not too far off from that, dude. Like, I don't tend to base programs on wins and losses. I usually look at a program or been part of ones that I can tell have been successful based off of how much I can tell that the coaches care and the kids care. And that's not just about football either, just how much about they care in general about life and about other people as well. There's one program in particular that I can think of. I coached for them for a year, but those coaches and those players are now seniors. But it's like I never left. You know, they still treat me like they treated me as I was on staff. And, you know, I got to get to know them that year. And like they're just the camaraderie amongst themselves. And then, you know, it kind of gets radiated out to their fans and everything. That like to me showed me like, dude, this is why this program's been so good for so long. And then on top of that too, like the things that their players do after the fact that they've graduated and went to college, or maybe they didn't. Their head coach will post pictures of former players like fighting the wildfires or, you know, doing things in the community. And it's like, dude, that's kind of cool. And I wish that, you know, I've been coaching long enough for me to do something like that, because I haven't been a head coach long enough for him. He's been there forever. I've been in my school. This is going on third year if we, you know, have it. So like, I thought that was really, really impressive while I was there. And I guess like to keep going with that is like the care part. A different program. I saw this on Twitter, but like, you know, those times where you're just like, I hate this school. And that's basically how I feel. But I saw this video of, you know, they found out a player couldn't afford cleats, and the team came together and bought the kid cleats. And I was like, dude, shit. Like if our kids would even consider that, that's a win. You know, like, I mean, right now, like we're slowly getting there. You know, like I said, this is my third year. My first year, the kids didn't really care about football or like even about each other, it felt like, you know, and I was like, man, these guys are broken. The senior class last year, though, like, you know, just being with them for a year, getting the message out, trying to, you know, encourage them. They knew they were good at football. They just didn't know how good they could be as a team and as a family. And they were still kind of cliquey. And if that like was gone, then it would have been better. But we could tell that these guys cared more. And now going into third year, even with just conditioning, you can tell the seniors are already bought in. Like they're ready to go, and they believe in what we do. And, you know, they care about each other a lot more than I've ever seen a team at the school I'm at now care about each other. And I've been coaching at my school for, I think this is 8 years as, you know, just not the head coach. This is my, you know, like I said, third year as the head coach, but like I can see it. And the best part is to me that the other schools can see it too. Yeah. And like the older coaches, the older head coaches in other programs, they've, you know, pulled me aside or they texted me. They've told me straight up, like, dude, what you're doing, it's pretty impressive. Keep doing it. I'm like, cool. Like that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I've done something, even though last year our best season was 5-5. Like, so that's telling me too that they're not basing it off of our wins and losses. They're basing it off of the other intangible things that you don't see on Max Preps. Right. And that's what I consider like, you know, good programs. Obviously, if you're winning state championships and shit, you're doing something right. But, you know, we don't have those D1 athletes that those state championship guys are rolling with, you know, especially the big boys down in Southern California, or even like the big boy up in Concord with De La Salle or, you know, Clayton Valley. Like, I don't have those big ass kids. I have kids that want to play football because they think that they like the game and they think it could be fun. And there's maybe like 3 or 4 of them that could probably play D1 or no, not D1, D3. Like
right.
that's like, I'm being honest. Like that's how the kind of kid I have. So I got to make them like, care about what they're doing, not just with football, with school, with their family, and then just post football life as well. I'm waiting for the day though that I get invited back to a wedding. Like I think that's when I'm good.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up and get out of here. Week 8. It's been fun. Make sure you guys check out Chief Pigskin and everything we have to offer. And we'll see what happens.
I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll keep doing this. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a little meeting, I guess, right?
Right.
But yeah, guys, it's been fun doing this. So hopefully we get the opportunity to do this again. And I don't know, maybe 2 other coaches will take this over if we ever have a season, right?
Right. That's the hope, I think.
Yeah, I think that is the hope. So thanks for always coming in to tune in and watch and providing us with questions. We really appreciate all your support.